where we work toward loving God with everything that makes us human. Today, we're going to revisit a topic that I covered before I rebooted this project a little over a year ago. We're going to go over why someone ought to work toward getting physically strong and healthy. After all, if we're going to love God with everything we are, wouldn't it be better to be healthy and energetic and strong? That way we can answer whatever call He may have for us. Let's get into it. We all have things in our lives that we want to improve. At least I hope we all do. Whenever I need to figure out the next thing that I need to focus on, the first question that I ask is, what's the biggest pain point? It seems to me that eliminating whatever's causing the most pain is the issue that should get the highest priority. Now, how does this work in the realm of health and fitness? Well, if we want to be healthy and fit, then it's probably logical to not want to be the opposite of healthy and fit. And it seems to me that since dead is a pretty good opposite from healthy, then maybe we could start with what's most likely to lead to being dead. I mean, it seems pretty sound to me. So I went ahead and I looked up statistics on the leading causes of death in the United States. Not surprisingly, heart disease was the number one factor. In fact, also not surprisingly, heart disease has been the number one factor for quite a while now. And when I started to dig into it, I found that heart disease has actually been the leading cause of death in the United States every single year since 1910. So what about 1909? Well, I'm glad you asked. So in 1909, the leading cause of death was tuberculosis, although heart disease was a close second. What I found even more interesting was that heart disease was the fourth leading cause of death in 1900, behind pneumonia, tuberculosis, and diarrhea and other intestinal diseases. So in 10 years, heart disease went from fourth to first. Then by 1950, heart disease was so far in the lead that the number two cause of death, which was cancer at the time, was behind heart disease by 40%. And by the year 2000, although cancer had caught up a bit and was only 22% behind, in third place was stroke, which was 76% behind heart disease. Some of the other causes on the top 10 list were respiratory diseases, diabetes, cerebrovascular diseases, and suicide. Now, it may interest you to know that while I'm sure it's pretty obvious to most people that better nutrition and increased activity, also known as exercise, can significantly reduce the risk of heart disease, exercise and good nutrition also is beneficial for reducing the risk of these other causes on the top 10 list. Yes, even cancer and suicide in some cases. Now, I won't have time to get too deeply into those things today, but we can cover more of that in the future. Suffice it to say, physical training and good nutrition have enormous benefits beyond just what might be obvious to most people. So besides the looming specter of death, there's other reasons for physical training. As much as it may be common for people to enjoy being pampered and taken care of, most of us do have a limit. Having someone cook and clean and do laundry and all that is nice, but when we start getting into needing help to get off the toilet, I don't know about you, but I have a serious problem with that. Unfortunately, without proper training, that's where a lot of us are headed. The sad reality is that as we age, we are subject to certain processes, which, if we don't address them head on, can lead to a life of dependence on other people for some of the most basic functions, like getting out of bed or standing up from a chair or wiping our own butts. You see, once we get to a certain age, we begin to lose muscle mass. The process actually has a name. It's called sarcopenia. I mean, big surprise that there should be some fancy Greek word for it. Sarcopenia literally means flesh poverty. Here, flesh is a reference to muscle. Another thing that happens is that we lose bone density. And once again, scientists come to our rescue with another Greek term, osteopenia. You might have already guessed that one can be translated as bone poverty. By eating a healthier diet consisting of whole, unprocessed foods, first of all, that helps to provide our body with the best nutrients that we need to help build bone and muscle tissue. Then by engaging in strength training, we actually force the body to keep up our muscle mass and bone density in order to adapt to the heavy loads that we subject our bodies to. All of this happens because of something that has been called the stress recovery adaptation cycle, which is mainly kind of a more modern take on the general adaptation syndrome developed by Hans Selye in about 1936. We'll have an episode coming up soon that kind of explores that cycle in a little bit more detail, but for now, just recognize that this is what causes your body to respond to heavy resistance training by adding muscle and bone mass so that you can stay strong. Now, in addition to physical strength, exercise can also help with depression in some cases. Now, I'm not a psychologist or a doctor of any kind, so please, if you struggle with depression, make sure you get help from a qualified expert. But studies have shown that physical exercise can improve moods, and it can also build confidence and help with depression. At a technical physiological level, this is partly because exercise can speed up metabolism and increase blood flow to the brain, which can help improve your mood. From a more emotional, practical standpoint, the act of successfully lifting something really heavy and completing your program number of reps and sets can be a psychological win, which then can help make you feel better as well. I mean, most of us feel better when we accomplish something difficult, and lifting a heavy barbell for 3 sets of 5 is something difficult. Now, if all that weren't enough already, there's a few more things that exercise can help with, and some of these may surprise you, like, for example, glaucoma, also high blood pressure, insomnia, lung disease, and even varicose veins. Now, with all these benefits to gain, it just doesn't seem like there's a downside. So why not get moving? You know, you can join a gym for as little as $10 a month in some places, or you can work with someone who meets at a park, or even someone who does online training. Whatever you do, do something. It doesn't have to be complicated to make some kind of improvement. And not only that, but you may just find that you actually learn to enjoy it. Start now, start today, and keep those weird Greek words about sarcopenia and osteopenia away from you. But please do something to get healthier and stronger. And that way we can knock heart disease off the top 10 list once and for all, and then we can really focus on whatever replaces it at the number 1 spot. Thanks for listening to Heart, Soul, Mind, and Strength. I hope this was helpful and maybe a little thought-provoking for you. Please stop by the website, put in your email so you get any new content, and I'm often adding more content to the resource page, so make sure you get to the site regularly. You'll find a link to the website in the show notes. Finally, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and just about any other podcast player. So make sure to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, and tell all your friends about it. Until next time.